Approaches for app development. You might know, does anybody want to talk about this? Like, how can you develop apps? What kind of approaches are there for towards app development? Okay, I'll give you a picture. Native apps ingrathu, the applications which you develop on native platforms for native platforms. Let's say you are developing an iOS application with Xcode or an Android application with Android Studio. That is your native application. You will build your applications on the platform's native language. So what is Android's native language? Java, right? Android apps எதுல develop பண்றாங்க? With this language called Java. iPhone apps எப்படி develop பண்றாங்க? With this language called as Objective-C or with this language called as Swift. These two are iPhone's native language. Similarly, Windows apps எப்படி develop பண்றாங்க? They use this language called as .NET. .NET is a framework. So the applications which you develop for that specific platform with that specific platform's tools, அந்த மாதிரி applications you call them as native apps. Native apps are like the application is built only to run on Android. The application is built only to run on Windows. அந்த மாதிரி platform specific app develop பண்றது is called as native application development. On the other end of the spectrum, you have something called as web apps. Web apps ங்கிறது எப்படின்னா, for example, somebody was telling Amazon. Amazon app யாராவது பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? That's essentially a website. அந்த application கிடையாது. நீங்க Amazon.com உங்க mobile phoneல like open Google Chrome and type Amazon.com. You will find some website, right? The same website will be there on Amazon's mobile app also. The app which you download from Play Store. It's essentially a website which is packaged into an application. அது பார்க்க உங்களுடைய phone ஒரு app மாதிரி தெரியும். ஆனா essentially that's a website. That is called web app. Another example is KFC's mobile app. யாராவது open பண்ணிக்கிறீங்களா? KFC India's mobile app. That is a web app. It's essentially the website which has been packaged inside a mobile application. நடுவுல இருக்கிறது hybrid. We'll talk about that. But essentially, this is the graph. Native is very platform specific. Web apps are platform independent. It's like you write one code, it will run anywhere. Web apps ku. Native apps ku write one code that will run only on your platform. இப்போ நீங்க விண்டோஸ்க்கு கோட் எழுதுறீங்கன்னா அது விண்டோஸ்க்கு மட்டும் தான் ரன் ஆகும். Let's take for example example application. Let's take Notepad. Notepad விண்டோஸ் தவிர்த்துட்டு வேற ஏதாவது ஆப்பரேட்டிங் சிஸ்டம்ல பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? That thing Notepad. No, right? You can find alternatives, but you won't find that exact Notepad on any other platform. That is one example for native application. Web apps, I was giving you an example like this KFC app, Amazon app, adellame web apps. It's essentially a website which is packaged as an application. They are web apps. The kind of software which we will be developing, they are called as hybrid apps. Hybrid apps, they lie in between native and web app. It's essentially like நீங்க develop பண்ற applications will run on other platforms as well. It will run on more than one platform, given that given that you make some minimal changes in the code. நீங்க codeல கொஞ்சம் changes பண்ணீங்கன்னா you will be able to run your application on more than one platform. Flutter is one such SDK. Flutter is an approach. Flutter is a hybrid approach towards app development. Is that clear? Is that clear? Any confusions? Another thing, features. Native apps நீங்க develop பண்றீங்கன்னா you will be able to utilize that host devices features, like all the features. இப்போ example, let's say நீங்க ஒரு web app எடுத்துக்கிறீங்க, ஓகேவா? Web app for example is let's say KFC's mobile app அப்படின்னு வச்சுக்கலாம், ஓகேவா? நீங்க ஆன்லைன் பேமெண்ட் KFC இதுல பண்றீங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. KFC வெப்சைட்ல let's say you're doing some online payment. Will you be able to use your device's advanced sensors? For example, let's say உங்க போன்ல NFC இருக்குது. NFC chip யூஸ் பண்ண முடியுமா வெப் ஆப்பால? அந்த NFC some module will be having on your phone, right? அதை வந்துட்டு உங்களால வெப் ஆப்ஸ்ல ஆக்சஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. Another simple example is you have this thing called as proximity sensor, right? What's proximity sensor? நீங்க phone பேசுறப்போ phone எடுத்து உங்க காதுல வச்சீங்கன்னா the screen switches off automatically, right? When let's say you're getting a phone call, you're picking up the call and you're keeping your mobile phone on your ears. Your screen is turning off automatically, right? Yes or no? நீங்க phone பேசுறப்போ screen off ஆயிடுது, கரெக்டா? That is possible because of the proximity sensor. So these are such some advanced sensors that you have in your mobile phones. In the sensors web apps access பண்ண முடியாது. Web apps have like so much of restrictions. You can access your camera, you can access your microphone, your GPS sensor. That's pretty much. அது தவிர்த்துட்டு like that's the high level view. Other if you have some advanced sensors, let's say temperature sensor, your HR, your heartbeat sensor, or your proximity sensor, NFC, இந்த மாதிரியான advanced sensors web apps access பண்ண முடியாது because that is the limitation of web apps itself. Web apps they were initially developed for your computer, for your desktop computer. அதுல இந்த மாதிரி advanced sensors initially இல்ல. So that is pretty much a limitation. Web apps desktop ல இருந்து தான் mobile phones கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. So when they were porting this, you did not have these kind of advanced sensors when web apps came. So that's pretty much a limitation. நேட்டிவ் ஆப்ஸ்ல அப்படி கிடையாது. நேட்டிவ் ஆப்ஸ் இஸ் வெரி பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் ஸ்பெசிபிக். அந்த டிவைஸ்ல என்னென்ன ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்குது, என்னென்ன சென்சார்ஸ் இருக்குதோ எல்லாத்தையுமே நீங்க ஆக்சஸ் பண்ணலாம். தட் இஸ் த அட்வான்டேஜ் ஆஃப் நேட்டிவ் ஆப்ஸ். Hybrid apps, again, they lie in between native and web apps. You can pretty much access almost all the sensors, all the features, but again, there are few restrictions, there are few limitations. ஆனா நம்மளுடைய கோர்ஸ்க்கு that won't play much of a role. அதுல எந்த விதமான ஒரு இம்பாக்டும் இருக்காது. If you ask me where Flutter lies among these three, it is in between native and hybrid. It is not purely native, it's not purely hybrid. It's in between native and hybrid, I would say. It has a single code base, it has a unified code base, and you can pretty much use all the advanced features of your computer, all the advanced features of your mobile phone. So that is a high level view of where Flutter lies in this spectrum. Do you get a brief picture of this? That's the theory. Flutter உடைய theory அவ்வளவுதான். And Asmir Khan, you were talking about native development, right? Okay, this is not the right moment. I will be showing you several demos. You will get the picture. Native development you will get a picture then. Let's not confuse now. But for the time being, just understand this. Flutter is not a native development platform. Flutter is a hybrid, but it is more of a native one. It is in between native and hybrid, I would say.